Hey there. It's so good to see you. I'm Emily D. Baker, and I'm the badass lawyer for online business, host of the popular Get Legit Law and Shit podcast. Shit is happening today, you guys, and I'm giddy and I'm sweating and I'm so excited to talk about Kanye West because I can't with what is happening over on Twitter right now, and I know that you're seeing it all go down because it's been picked up everywhere. So it's 5 o'clock somewhere. I found this at the grocery store, and it is literally watermelon rosé. It's all the things I love in one spot. So grab a drink. We're going to talk about Kanye fighting for his masters on Twitter because the shit that is happening is epic. If you regularly listen to Get Legit Law and Shit, you know that I've talked about record labels, contracts, and masters before because I talked about Taylor Swift when the AMAs were coming out. So we're going to get a little background because what's happening with Kanye West also involves Taylor Swift because these two are like fated to be spinning in the same circle all the time, and I'm here for every single second of it, right? It's so good seeing you guys. Jay, it's so good to see you, girl. Okay. We're going to do a quick recap on the record industry and what's going on. Taylor Swift was on the AMAs right after her breakup with her old label. Her old label was going under because record labels are struggling. She decided that she wanted to purchase her masters. In the music world, this is purchasing everything that encompasses a song. The lyrics, the music, the digital recording, the performance, you get all the things. Taylor Swift only owns the credits for the writing. So she has the copyrights on the writing, the lyrics, but she doesn't own the music and she doesn't own the performances because they're set to the music. So her record label owns the master, the whole song. As her record label was going under, they would not invite her to purchase her masters. And she's like, I have money, give me back my music. I want the music that I've written since I was 13 years old, right? Instead, her record label told her, if you want your music, you can go 1 for 1. We'll give you back an old album when you give us a new album. Taylor wasn't having it. She's like, now you're gonna just make more money off my new music. I'm out. I am out. So her label sold it to Scooter Braun, who she fucking hates. She hates Scooter Braun. She has hated Scooter Braun since Kanye West interrupted her acceptance speech at the Grammys and was like, oh my God, Beyonce should have won. That whole thing, Scooter Braun stood behind Kanye when that went down, and Taylor Swift felt very victimized, which we've learned if you've watched Miss Americana. Like, she talked all about how that made her feel, how disempowering it was as a young woman, how she felt that she wasn't getting respect in the industry, how she felt that she was pushed to be more sexual. Today's episode is about Netflix's movie Cuties. We'll get into the hypersexualization of women in another conversation because I'm going to try to stay focused and not tangent into the hypersexualization of women in the music industry. But Taylor wasn't about it. Kanye basically said, you're being a bitch. You knew what you signed. You signed it. I stand with Scooter Braun. Like, you signed it. This is the way this goes. If you want to be famous, you have to play the game. So Kanye had nothing nice to say about Taylor as this was going down. She was getting an award at the January AMAs 2020, and her label told her she couldn't perform her older music. So she's getting an award for a decade of music, but can only perform her new songs because her label wasn't going to give her the rights to perform because she left the label. So that was some shit. The AMAs reached out to the record label. They came to an agreement without her being involved, and she was allowed to sing her older music. It's good to see you guys coming in. So Taylor has been taking it to the record labels about getting her masters for a couple of years. This is a fight that Prince fought, Michael Jackson famously fought. So a lot of artists have been fighting to get their masters. And then today. Tara, we are just about to jump in to Kanye West. So today, I imagine this is how this went. This is my musings. Kanye got up and was like, I need to own my music. My children are going to have legacy. I'm going to earn my music. I'm going to own my masters. Because Kanye doesn't make his money off of his music. His music makes money for his label. He makes money off of his shoes and off of his clothing line and off of his sponsorships and off of the boards that he advises and all of that. He doesn't make a ton of money off of his music. Without getting super nerd lawyer, a lot of the music contracts that we're talking about and seeing don't include digital rights. They include royalties for physical CD sales, for physical music sales, for tours, for that kind of merchandising, but they don't include as much for licensing rights for digital music. Of course, the way we're seeing music distributed in 2020 is that music is being licensed to TikTok, it's being licensed to Instagram to be used in things like stories and reels, and it's being streamed on services like Spotify and Amazon and all of those. So the digital rights are something that's not in a lot of these older contracts, so artists aren't making those licensing funds off of the digital rights unless they have another claim to their music. Taylor Swift gets some of that licensing because she owns the copyright and the lyrics. Kanye owns a lot of the copyrights in his lyrics. But artists that don't own their lyrics, like Britney Spears, they wouldn't give her writing credits for a lot of her albums, for the first 3 or 4. So she doesn't even have copyrights on her music. Her label owns everything, soup to nuts. So she doesn't get licensing on it because she doesn't even own the words. So today, Kanye gets onto Twitter and releases all of his contracts. All of his contracts. I'm gonna show you guys how much that was released because I started screenshotting it because there's no way in hell this is gonna be on Twitter in 24 hours. There is no amount, there is just no conception for me that this could stay on Twitter because what I imagine is happening right now is fleets of lawyers from Universal are trying to get Twitter to take these images down. The conversations going on between Twitter's legal department and the record label's legal department have got to be very interesting. Remember, we are also in a time where our federal government is pushing for individuals to be able to sue social media platforms over censorship. So if Universal forces Twitter to take down Kanye's Twitter, can Kanye then sue Twitter because they took the shit down that he posted? Maybe. Would Kanye be that bitch? Yes. Yes, he would. Kanye would absolutely sue everybody. We know this because he posted this merch saying Kim's my lawyer. So Kanye was posting this merch today. First of all, Kim Kardashian is not a full-ass lawyer just yet. So let's chill, Kanye. But he has made it very clear that he will hire fleets of lawyers to deal with this shit. So he posted, you guys, he's posting all of his contracts, all of his legal documents on Twitter. Every single page of every single contract, there is nothing crossed out. There is nothing lined out. It is all of the all. It breaks down, some of these documents break down his royalties. Some of them break down how much he gets per album, like his signing fees. Look at this, you guys. These are his different options on how to get his albums. These are I'm trying to find the one that has the breakdown of the monies, because there's you guys, when I say there are pages and pages and pages and pages and pages, I'm not joking, pages and pages and pages. This breaks down how they're allowed to get paid, how they're allowed to spend funds on the albums. There's a whole breakdown of how they calculate fees for his records. And when we're doing the fee calculations, there is everything included. So what we've started learning, what I've started learning, because I've spent all day going, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, Kanye West is releasing all of his contracts on Twitter, which violates probably everything in these contracts and all of his NDAs. Like there is no way this isn't illegal. But Kanye doesn't give a fuck. Because once it's out there, it's out there. It doesn't matter if they sue him over breaching his NDA. He's like, whatever, I'll pay it. Because now he's got everyone talking about artists' rights. So even if you don't agree with Kanye, which I don't always agree with Kanye, I'm not mad that he is bringing the fight to the record labels. I don't know if he's bored in quarantine or what, but he posted, yes, guys, every single receipt, all of it. Here's what's scandalous in some of these contracts that I didn't know, because I am not at all an entertainment lawyer. So a lot of these, the ins and outs of these contracts, I vaguely have an idea of what it is. But here's the thing, most contracts, when you pay your fees or your overhead, you take money out where you take out the expenses first, then a cut to whoever's getting it, and then the next cut. So in the entrepreneur space, if you're doing affiliates, your overhead comes out first, then you get your revenue, then you pay affiliates, and then you keep what's left. In a lot of these, you're seeing that the record label gets a cut first, then expenses come out, then Kanye gets paid. So they don't take expenses out of their cut. What? They take the gross, everything made, take their portion of it, then charge all the expenses before the artist gets their cut. What? That's insane. I was like, this is craziness. So now we've got Kanye going against Scooter Braun, who he supported when it was Taylor. I mean, we've got to remember, Kanye was going, but you signed the contract. You signed the contracts too, Kanye. I mean, I'm just saying. So the Taylor Swift stans on Twitter are fired up that Kanye's like, give me my music. Because the Taylor Swift stans are like, couldn't you have maybe just had a girl's back a few months ago? Could you imagine what that would have been, what the story would have been if Kanye West had stood up against his own label and said, no, give Taylor her music. I stand with Taylor. Can you imagine if Kanye West, who hates Taylor Swift, and Taylor Swift, who hates Kanye West, stood together to say artists deserve better? What? So I feel like this was an opportunity missed on Kanye's part, but I also feel like he woke up this morning and was like, I'm going to have my master's today. The Twitter feed is wild. One of the last things that happened is one of his friends, whose name I didn't recognize but is a verified blue check, said, I'm on the phone with Kanye, they've turned off his Twitter. Kanye was posting about every 2 minutes most of the day, and about 2 hours ago, his Twitter went completely silent. So I guarantee that the fleets of lawyers have been activated and they shut down his Twitter. So will Kanye be able to sue Twitter over the fact that he's been silenced and cannot post on Twitter right now? Maybe. There's also this whole weird Twitter conspiracy like rabbit hole that I wasn't aware of all of the people who believe that Prince and Michael Jackson both died because they were fighting for their masters and that Sony Music basically found a way to off them. I didn't realize that was a conspiracy theory, but now I'm fascinated. So as you can imagine, this is what next week's episode of Get Legit Law and Shit is going to have to be about. Because I want to read all of these contracts and share it with you. Last thing. The thing that all the media outlets are talking about right now is this video. Yes, Kanye West in his Yeezys pissing on his Grammy. We're gonna let that sink in for a moment. Yep, pissing on his Grammy. So now I want to see what the statement is from the Grammy Association if they're gonna take away his Grammy. Are the Grammys gonna take away Kanye's Grammy? I mean, the questions I have, first, is Kanye gonna get sued by his label? Absolutely. Though they'll probably send demand letters first and we won't hear about it. But if they give him back his Twitter, I guarantee he's gonna be like, this is what the lawyers are gonna do. This is what the lawyers are gonna do. Thank you, Octonation. But if the Grammys don't come out with a statement, I will be shocked. VS World 20, yes, the Grammys can take away your Grammy. They have a code of conduct. So I imagine that actually pissing on your Grammy on social media probably violates the code of conduct for the Grammy organization because it's supposed to be revered. I get that he is an artist trying to make a statement. I understand, and I saw the comments that it sounds like Kanye's in the middle of a manic episode. Here's where I break down on is Kanye manic or is he just speaking his truth? I think he's just speaking his truth. I absolutely think he's just speaking his truth. I think if he is manic, that he likes the way he feels when he's manic and he likes the energy. I also think that lots of artists have fought this fight. And I also think that Kanye, whether he's manic or not, is a brilliant marketer. And if he wanted to bring attention to this, he's going to take it to level 50. He's not going to be like, artists need to be protected. Artists need to have their masters. Artists should be respected. He's going to be like, motherfucker, I'm pissing on my Grammy on Twitter. Respect it. Talk about me. So I really think that some of this is just Kanye knows, like inherently knows how to get people talking about him. He's trending in like 3 different trends on Twitter. He's trending for Kanye West. He's trending for pissing. I didn't really think, like pissing should be trending on OnlyFans. Pissing doesn't need to be trending on Twitter. I just was surprised. But Kanye has very successfully, if the goal is to get attention on this, the attention was grabbed. This morning, my attention was grabbed, and I don't live on Twitter. I live here on Instagram with y'all. The attention was grabbed immediately this morning. And I was like, what the fuck is happening up here on Twitter? I made a reel about it. I have to talk about it. I'm fascinated by it. And Kanye's like, I need all the lawyers in the world to look at these contracts. I'm like, challenge accepted. I'm just a nosy bitch. I want to know what's in there. I want to know what's in all of those contracts. And I can't wait to like print them out and get multicolored highlighters and break down his contracts. Because I read contracts in 3 different colors. And all of my lawyer friends understand me. When you're in law school, you tend to highlight in different colors so you can go through and quickly see the different parts. So I color code the parts of contracts. And that's what we're going to have to talk about on Get Legit next week. But this week, I talk about the Netflix movie Cuties. Because, again, it's the same thing that's happening right now with Kanye West. I think this film director used shock value to drive a conversation. And it drove attention to the movie. None of us would have heard, any of us would have gone on Twitter and been like, wait a second, there's a French subtitled film about 11-year-olds who are in a dance team? I don't give a fuck. I'm over toddlers and tiaras. I just don't care. But when she made it 11-year-old girls, and when the camera angles were really difficult to watch, it has that shock value that I can't stop talking about it. The Facebook community can't stop talking about it. Everyone's curious about it. And then the people who are outraged are leaving Netflix over it. But she sparked action. The director of Cuties doesn't care if Netflix loses $9 billion. There's no way she cares. She's like, get the art out there. And from the creatives I've worked with and the artists I've worked with, especially the ones who want attention on their message, they don't care about the fallout because it's all part of the message. And so even if Kanye might be manic, Kanye's a marketer and Kanye knows how to keep his name in the news. Kanye knows how to get people talking about what he wants to talk about. The narrative he wants to push today is whether artists should own their masters, and he is going to push it. Mickey, I completely understand that perspective on Cuties. I completely understand that it feels that way. The director of the film thinks that that is her way of making the point. I think that there's a big gap, and I talk about this in today's episode of Get Legit, that I think there's a big gap between a French audience and a US audience. There are different tolerances. All of these kids had parents on the set the way that they're required to. The director said that the movie had a therapist on set to work with the girls about what they were experiencing through the movie and what they would experience when the movie was released. So I don't like the way the movie's filmed. Personal opinion. I think it's very tough to watch. But I also understand that there are people in the entertainment space that will push that envelope to drive conversation. And then we as a society get to choose what that line is for us. And so Mickey, you get to choose, hey, Netflix, I'm out. This is too far for me. You shouldn't be supporting it. And I don't support you anymore. We get to drive the conversation. Where I can't go with that is that the US government should shut it down. And in today's episode, I talk a bit about the fact that people are calling for a congressional investigation. But we also allow dance moms on TV. We allow toddlers and tiaras on TV. We allow, 15-year-olds to dance like this at football games. They're minors too. So, oh, Jay makes a great point. We forget we came from the era of film 13 and kids. I mean, there were some rough movies. Yes, Pretty Baby. Wasn't when Pretty Baby came out, wasn't Brooke Shields like 11 or 12 when she filmed that and played a child prostitute? I mean, there are some movies out there in the lexicon that are tough to watch, but it is pushing it. And here's the thing about pornography, spoken from a former deputy district attorney who also was a constitutional law nerd in law school and was the con law TA. When it comes to artistic expression, you guys have the best examples. I'm getting totally sidetracked by all of these examples. Yes to Lolita, yes to Taxi Driver. These are such fantastic examples of how this has been expressed previously. We're in the middle of a pandemic and everybody's stuck at home, so this feels much more heightened because there's nothing else to focus our attention on. That's part of what is happening with this movie. But when you talk about pornography in a constitutional law set, like where the right to free expression and the illegal pornography stuff meet, the line in the middle there is super gray and it's super subjective. So yes, the Super Bowl is going to get pissed off about Janet Jackson's boob, but they're also going to have GoDaddy commercials and Carl's Jr. commercials with chicks with barbecue sauce dripping on their tits writhing around on a car. So we're mad about a boob, but we're okay with people having sex with a cheeseburger. So where's the line? And it feels often like the line is, if it's for marketing purposes, it's fine. But if it's for artistic expression, we're going to be outraged. And I feel like that should maybe be flipped. Like if it's for artistic expression driving conversation, maybe we give it a different level. And if it's for marketing, maybe it feels more exploitative. That was a big word for drinking during the day. So today has been a lot, you guys. I am going to keep following this on Twitter. I want to go to dinner. And I'm kind of glad that they turned off Kanye West Twitter because I'm like so sucked into the story. I can't stop watching it unfold. But if you are curious and want to see for yourself and make a judgment call on what's going on with Kanye, look at what he was posting today before it all gets taken down. I saved all of the contracts to read, but there are posts in between explaining what he's doing. Part of his sentiment is, I want to create legacy for my kids. Like, I want my kids' legacy to have my masters. I want them, after I'm gone, to continue to create legacy. And that's where I actually relate to Kanye West. I'm like, isn't that what we all want, especially for business owners? Don't we want to create something that lives beyond us for our kids? Don't we want to create legacy? And if you're Kanye West, you've got to look at this going, I want my kid's legacy to be something other than Kim Kardashian pissing on Ray J in a porn video that her mom released. Like, I need it to be more than that. I need it to be more than sneakers. I need it to be greater than just this. I need my voice to live beyond me. So I understand where he's coming from. And it was interesting to see the parental component of that. And it's been coming out in his tweets more and more. So I don't know, guys. Kanye, I'm not a fan. But if he's going to push the music industry forward because he doesn't care how much money they try to sue him for, I mean, I'm here for it. I can't wait to hear what you think. If you are not already in the Get Legit Law and Shit Facebook group, this is what we talk about all day long in that community. And I moderate those conversations, so there's no bullshit. Nobody's tried to start bullshit because I think when they come into my Facebook group, they know if they act up, I will kick them out and like cut them. So it is a very safe community to have these conversations because I keep it under lock. So there are discussions, but not arguments. Because the last thing we need on Facebook is more ranting about stuff. I mean, unless it's me ranting, because when I rant, it's kind of fun. It's just the truth. So if you're not in the Facebook community, come on over, getlegitlive.com or the links in my bio. You can always just search Get Legit Community on Facebook. That's where we have no bullshit conversations. I can't wait. I can't wait to dive into this episode. And if you've listened to this week's episode, there's a thread where we're talking about child pornography, cuties, my experience as a DA, the kinds of things people take off of social media and use as child porn. That conversation is all in the Facebook group. It's so good to see you guys. Have a great night. I appreciate you. I love you. I will talk to you soon. Bye, friends.